Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's class, we'll be focusing on helping those who have any sort of stiff or tight hips, just to help them work on their mobility and any sort of daily stretches they can do to help. To begin, we'll start off in a child's pose, placing both our knees as wide as our mats can fit, and with our toes touching, our big toes touching, placing our hips onto our bum, onto our heels, and laying our hands out in front of us with our forehead onto the mat. From here, we're going to take a few breaths just to settle in and prepare. When you're ready, you slowly start pushing yourselves up into a tabletop position, making sure your knees are below your hips and your hands are below your shoulders. And from here, we're going to start by tucking in our right toes and lifting our left leg up, keeping our leg bent. And we're just going to go through a few hip rotations, painting a circle with our left knee, making it as big as possible, going in one direction before changing over in the other direction. Really feeling the stretch in your hips. And when you're ready, bring your left knee over to your left shoulder before placing your left foot down by your left pinky finger. From here, you can straighten out your back leg, either keeping your knee still on the mat, or you can lift it up for more of an active lizard stretch. Here, you have a few options that you can either follow. Either you can keep your hands grounded onto the mat, or if you have the flexibility to get a little bit of a deeper stretch, you can go down onto your forearms just to really go deeper in. And if maybe even possible, moving over to your right hand side of the mat and maybe trying to push your left hip away. Holding here for 2 full breaths in whichever position feels the most comfortable. Then when you're ready, you come me back into center, placing both palms back onto the mat. And then you're going to heel toe your left foot over, bringing your left foot over to your right hand before finally placing your right knee onto the mat and bringing your right knee back down and untucking your back toes. From here, you might notice if your foot might slide a little bit further, and that's okay. Because from here, we're going to slowly try and push ourselves up, pushing our hips down as low as they can, keeping our hands either on the mat, or if you feel upward, you can even see if you can float your hands up and off the mat. Holding for a breath before finally slowly sliding down, crawling your hands forward as you lower your chest and then your head down onto the mat for a more passive pigeon stretch. And holding this for 2 more breaths. Then when you're ready, you can slowly start coming back up onto your hands, tucking your right toes in, lifting your back knee up, and then slowly pushing your knee back down and bring your right knee back into another tabletop. And from here, we can move on to the other side, lifting our right leg up this time, going through another few hip rotations, painting a nice big circle with your right knee, going in one direction before changing over into the other. Then bring your knee back to stillness and move your right knee to your right elbow before placing your right foot next to your right pinky finger. And once more, you can either choose to keep your knee on the mat or lift it up for a more active lizard. And then whatever you did on the one side, you can see if you can follow through to the other. Maybe bringing your elbows down, or maybe even moving it over to the left-hand corner. Holding and just feeling and stretching your hips. Maybe even noticing the stretch here doesn't feel exactly the same as the other side, but accepting that, knowing it's okay. Then when you're ready, you can be back on top, your hands on the mat, back knee on the mat, and then heel toe your right foot over before dropping your right knee back down. And then when you feel comfortable, you can maybe just slide your back leg slightly further and feeling the balance, pushing your hips down, maybe even hovering your hands up in a cactus position, holding for breath, really engaging your core before finally coming down. Bringing your chest and your forehead down and laying your hands out in front of you. Slowly coming back up, placing your hands back on the mat, and then lifting your back knee, bringing your back knee back and your front knee together before finally coming into a nice little seated position. From here, we can sit on our bums with the soles of our feet placed together and then laying our knees down as far as they can go. From here, we're going to go through a little bit of a butterfly flutters just to get some heat going in our hips. Just going a quick up and down, up and down. Remember to breathe, maybe feeling a bit of a heat coming into your body. And then slowly slowing your legs down. Leaning forward now, you're going to place your feet behind you, almost same as if you're going to a tabletop. But instead, now we're going to spread our knees as far apart as possible for a bit of a frog stretch, making sure our feet are in line with our knees. Placing our hands just in front of our chest, we're going to slowly start pushing back on our hips, going as far back as I can before making sure that you're not feeling any sort of pain or discomfort before holding this position for a few breaths. And then finally pushing your hips forward now, going as far forward as possible, maybe even walking your hands slightly out if you can. And then just really try and push down your groin down to the mat as far as comfortably possible. And when you're ready, coming back up, and bring your knees back together again. And we're going to slowly move up into a standing position. Coming up, bring your legs open, just wider than hips, with this in apart. And we can slowly sink our hips down, placing our left hand on our left knee and our right elbow onto our right knee. We're going to slowly push our legs open, making sure your feet are not about 45 degrees, pointed in opposite directions. And we're just going to push our left shoulder forward, opening our hips as wide as they can go. Holding for breath before moving on to the other side. Right hand on right knee, left elbow on left knee, and pushing your right shoulder forward. Finally, coming back to center, keeping your legs not still bent. You're going to slowly lift your hips up, and as you do, you're going to drop your chest forward into a wide-legged forward fold. Keeping a slight bend in your legs, you're going to spider crawl your hands to your right foot, grabbing onto your right foot, and then just whole upper body to the side as much as it can go. Then doing the same on the other side, moving over to your left foot, grabbing on and pulling slowly, making sure there's no pain or discomfort anywhere. And all you're feeling is just a nice stretch. Finally, once that's done, you can come back into center. And from your keeping a forward fold, just slowly heel toe your feet closer together so they're about hip width distance apart. And then slowly you're just going to lower your hips down, swaying it from side to side before finally bringing your whole upper body down, placing your elbows onto your knees, pushing them open for yogi squat. Focusing on trying to keep your heels down on the mat. If needed, you can even maybe use a block or any sort of prop just to help you get in a comfortable position as we hold. Finally, we're going to place our hands out in front of you, and then we're going to kick our left foot out, keeping our right foot grounded as much as possible for a bit of a side lunge, focusing on trying to keep your right heel on the mat. If you feel the need to have your right heel floated off, it's fine. But just try and focus with the intention of bringing it down. As you try and even see if you can float your hands off the ground. If not, you can place it on the mat ground for support. Holding for a breath before slowly moving over to the other side. Grounding your left heel, lifting your right toes up, and really sinking into the stretch. Finally, moving on to the last little bit. We're going to meet me on our backs, our legs straight out in front of us, head down. We're then going to bend our right knee, bringing our right foot as close to our bum as possible, and then with our left leg, placing it over our right knee, almost like you're making a figure four shape with your legs. And you're going to lift your right leg up, grabbing the back of your right knees, and then just slowly and gently pull your leg towards you, feeling the stretch in your right hip. Just holding for a few deep breaths. Before finally releasing your legs, placing your arms out to your sides, either straight or you can cactus them if you don't have the space. And you're going to slowly bring your legs over to your right, placing your left foot onto the mat, onto the floor, and your whole right leg down on the mat, on the floor. And then maybe even if you can, twisting your head to look to the left. Slowly turn your head back to look up straight, bringing your legs back to center, and we're going to move on now to the other side. So left leg bent, right leg over on your left foot over on your right foot, and then bringing your legs in, hugging it in, grabbing behind your left knee as you really feel into that stretch. Then gently releasing your hands, laying them out to the sides, and then bringing your right sole of the foot down and laying your left leg flat on the mat, and perhaps even looking towards your right. Making sure to focus on keeping your shoulders on the mat, both shoulders flat on the mat. Take some nice deep breaths. And gently turning your head to look up straight, bringing both legs back to center. And from here, we can just slowly and gently come back up into a nice seated position. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I hope that you found it very informative and very helpful. And please let me know if there's anything else I could have added or I might have missed. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys again in the future.